Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most profound and captivating African folktales, the myth of the Great River. This story isn't just a tale about water or land, it's a story that flows deep with meaning, wisdom, and lessons about unity, greed, courage, and destiny. For generations, elders across the African continent have shared it around fires and under starlit skies, passing down its teachings to young and old alike. So sit back, relax, and let's journey together into the heart of Africa's storytelling tradition. Long ago, before the rivers carved their paths through the earth and before the rains knew where to fall, the land was dry and silent. The world was still young, and the gods had not yet decided where to let life bloom. In the middle of this barren land lived a small village of people who struggled each day to survive. They had no rivers, no streams, and no wells deep enough to bring water to the surface. Every sunrise brought the same fear that this might be the day their last drop of water would vanish. Among these villagers was a young man named Kofi. He was strong, curious, and restless. While others accepted their fate, Kofi believed that something beyond their horizon held the key to their survival. He often gazed toward the distant mountains, their peaks hidden by mist, and wondered if there was something more, something the elders had forgotten or refused to see. One night, as the moon hung full and bright, Kofi dreamed of a woman made entirely of water. Her hair was a flowing river, her eyes sparkled like droplets in sunlight, and her voice echoed like the sound of waves against stone. She called out to him, saying, "Follow the sound of the earth's heartbeat, and you will find the life your people seek." When Kofi awoke, he felt the ground beneath him pulse faintly, like a rhythm buried deep within the soil. He told the elders about his dream, but they only shook their heads. "Dreams are illusions, Kofi," said the oldest among them. "Water does not speak, the gods do not whisper to men like you." But Kofi could not forget the dream. The next morning he took a small bag of food, his walking stick, and a calabash shell to carry water. He set out alone, guided by the faint pulse beneath his feet. The sun scorched the earth as he traveled, and days turned into weeks. His lips cracked from thirst, and his feet bled from walking over sharp stones. Just as he began to lose hope, he reached a land where the earth trembled with a stronger heartbeat. It was there he met a great serpent, its scales glimmering like wet stones. "Why have you come here, mortal?" hissed the serpent. "This is sacred ground where no man should tread." Kofi bowed low. "I seek water for my people. The land is dying. I heard the call of the great river spirit." The serpent's eyes narrowed. "Many have come seeking water, but all have failed. The river you seek lies deep beneath the earth, and only the pure in heart can awaken it." Kofi felt fear grip his chest, but he stood tall. "Tell me what I must do." The serpent coiled around him, its massive body circling like a wall of scales. "Three tests await you," it said, "one of strength, one of wisdom, and one of sacrifice. Fail any of them, and you will never return." The first test began immediately. A mighty storm appeared, and winds howled with fury. Trees were torn from the ground, and rocks crashed down from the mountainside. Kofi was thrown to his knees, but he held his ground. He planted his staff into the earth and shouted to the heavens, "I will not yield." The storm raged harder, but Kofi stood firm. When it finally passed, the serpent appeared again. "You have endured the test of strength." The second test was of wisdom. The serpent led him to a great stone door carved with symbols of animals and stars. "Behind this door lies the path forward," said the serpent, "but only one of these symbols will open it. Choose wrong, and you will be buried in darkness." Kofi studied the carvings carefully. There was the lion for power, the eagle for vision, the elephant for memory, and the fish for life. He thought about his people and what they needed most, not strength, not vision, not the past, but life. He pressed his hand against the fish, and the door rumbled open. The serpent's eyes gleamed. "You have passed the test of wisdom." The final test, the test of sacrifice, was the hardest. The serpent led Kofi to a cave where the river spirit slept, a woman of water, just as he had seen in his dream. But her body was dry and cracked, her once flowing hair now dust. "To awaken her," said the serpent, "you must give something precious, something that cannot be replaced." Kofi looked down at his calabash. Only a few drops of water remained, barely enough to save himself. He thought of his village, his mother, the children crying for water. Without hesitation, he poured the last drops onto the river spirit's lips. For a moment nothing happened. Then light burst through the cave, blinding and pure. The ground trembled, and from beneath it, water surged upward, rushing through cracks and valleys. Rivers formed where there had been none, lakes shimmered under the sun, and the land awoke with life once more. The serpent vanished, leaving behind only a whisper, "You have given life through your own." Kofi returned to his village, but he was changed. His once dark eyes now reflected the shimmer of the river, and wherever he walked, the grass grew green behind him. The people celebrated his return, calling him the son of the river. They built their homes along the new waters and promised to honor the spirit that had blessed them. Years passed, and the village flourished. Generations grew, and the story of Kofi's journey became legend. But with time, greed began to take root. People built larger houses, diverted the river for their fields, and forgot the promise they had made. The elders warned them, "Do not anger the river. Remember the sacrifice of Kofi." But the younger ones laughed. "The river belongs to us," they said. "It flows because of our work." One night, the river began to recede. At first, people thought it was the dry season, but soon the fish vanished, the wells dried, and the crops withered. Panic spread through the land. The elders gathered and prayed to the river spirit, but she did not answer. Then an old woman appeared at the edge of the village. Her eyes were like deep pools, and her hair shimmered like moonlight on water. "You have forgotten your promise," she said softly. "You took from the river without gratitude, and now the river will return to sleep." The people fell to their knees, crying out for forgiveness, but the woman only shook her head. "The river is life, and life must be respected. It flows not because of man's will, but because of the balance between giving and taking." As she spoke, the villagers realized who she was, the river spirit herself. She raised her hand, and rain began to fall, slow and gentle. The river rose again, but not as powerful as before. It was a reminder, a second chance, given not out of mercy, but out of hope. From that day on, the people changed. They no longer wasted water. They shared it among all, and every year they held a festival to honor Kofi and the river spirit. Children grew up learning the story, and travelers from distant lands came to see the great river that flowed with both power and peace. But deep in the hills, where Kofi had once met the serpent, the ground still pulsed faintly the heartbeat of the earth, reminding all who listened that the river's gift could vanish as easily as it appeared. And so, the myth of the great river became more than a folktale. It became a lesson about balance, humility, and respect for the forces that sustain life. In the rhythm of the river, people learned to hear their own heartbeat, the echo of the past guiding the promise of the future. Today, this story continues to live on, told by grandparents to their grandchildren, sung in songs and painted on village walls. It reminds us that the greatest rivers do not only flow through the land, but through our hearts, connecting us to each other, to nature, and to the unseen spirits that shape our world. So the next time you stand beside a river or hear the sound of running water, remember Kofi, the boy who followed the earth's heartbeat and gave everything so his people could live. The river still flows, whispering his name, a reminder that every drop of water carries a story, and every story holds the power to change the world. And that, my friends, is the timeless African folktale, the myth of the great river. It's a story that speaks of courage, sacrifice, and the delicate bond between humanity and nature. If you enjoyed this journey through ancient wisdom, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories and myths from around the world. Until next time, keep listening to the heartbeat of the earth, because every story begins there,